Plaid friends, and Guten Tag to all my German friends and Fräuleins. Welcome back to the www.plaid-avenger.com, where we just don't want to hear the news. We would like to understand that news. And a lot of Plaid Avenger friends, particularly my German friends, have been writing in asking some very interesting questions about what's been going on in Greece. That's been making international news. The Greeks getting ready to default. Their government perhaps going to collapse on debt. What's going on? Why would the Germans in particular be interested in this? And why would I suggest that this is a story that's, yes, in Greece, but has way bigger repercussions outside of Greece, in Europe as a whole, in the EU, and indeed, my friends, the world. Ha! Because that's what we're all interested in. Let's entitle this one, Germany's Shady Solution for Greek Shenanigans. Oh, you know, sometimes it gets too good. All right, well, what's the Greek shenanigans I'm referring to, and why is there a German shady solution for it that's causing all sorts of rifts within the EU? Well, the Greeks are broke. Sorry, dudes. You know it's true. And I love me some Greece, don't get me wrong. Socrates and Plato in the bunch. But the current Greek government is about 300 billion euros in debt. Ouch. It's about 420 billion US dollars. And that's no big deal. I mean, come on. All governments right now are kind of broke. And governments borrow money all the time to keep themselves going. Every single government on planet Earth pretty much lives on debt, borrows more money to keep itself going. But here's the deal for the Greeks. They ain't worth that much. Sorry again, my Greek friends. But they don't have a very huge economy. And with 300 billion euros in debt, it's looking increasingly like they can't pay back that debt. And because there's a global recession going on and a credit crisis, you've probably heard about these things unless you've been living under a rock for a year, increasingly no one wants to give them any money. People are saying, dudes, you can't pay back what you got now, and you don't have a big promise in the future of making more money to be able to pay back more loans. So it looks increasingly like the Greeks may be defaulting on 300 billion euros worth of debt. And by default, I mean they ain't paying it back. And that has big repercussions for Europe as a whole. Now, why would I suggest that? Just because they're in euro trouble, it's going to affect the entire European Union. Well, it's just this. Like in the U.S. has a dollar, right? The U.S. dollar is our monetary unit. The Japanese have the yen. The Chinese have the yuan. The Russians have the ruble. However, the euro is an international monetary currency between a whole bunch of countries. And before I go any further, I don't want you to get confused here, because you've heard of the European Union, and a lot of you assume that the European Union, that everybody uses euros, and you can use euros in all of the 27 countries of the EU, but only 16 countries in the EU are in what we call the Eurozone. That sounds cool, doesn't it? The Eurozone. And the Eurozone has 16 big economies in it. And these 16 are in the Eurozone because they have adopted the euro and gotten rid of their other local currency. Meaning the euro is all they got, it's all they use, it's the only thing in the bank. Now, you know, the Italians used to have the lira, the Germans used to have the Deutschmark, but by becoming a part of the Eurozone, they got rid of their national currencies and only use the euro. Why would I suggest that has something to do with this story? Oh, because it's about this. If the U.S. screws up, defaults on debt, the value of the dollar goes down. If the Japanese do it, the value of the yen goes down. If the Chinese screw up titanically, the value of their currency goes down. But in the Eurozone, if country X screws up, can't pay its bills, defaults on a bunch of loans, then the value of the euro goes down, but it screws over the other 15 countries who ain't done nothing wrong. So the value of the money in their banks is also going to go down if the Greeks, and that's what's going on here, can't pony up and pay their bills. Is this starting to make a little more sense to you now? So in the case of the euro, it's quite unique on planet Earth. One country screwing up is going to screw over 15 others in the 16-block Eurozone. And of particular note, as the headline of the story suggests, the folks that are going to be most screwed over, and therefore the people who are going to be most pissed off, are my brothers in Germany. And they are not, let me repeat, not happy about what's going on in Greece right now. See, the Greeks are in trouble because they've not had very good governance. Sorry again, Greece. Their government has not been working very well. It has been overspending. It's been over-borrowing. It's been borrowing at bad interest rates. The Greeks give out too many social benefits, perhaps. There's too much welfare. There's a shorter work week. And they just say, well, whatever. Spend for the last 10 years. We'll catch up with the bills someday. And that day has come, and they can't do it now. They are also not a very big economy. See, the Greeks are in big trouble because, unlike the U.S., which has a huge economy, all right, the U.S. is in massive debt too. The U.S. has got debt to bury Greece. But the U.S. is worth $1 trillion. Their GDP in their economy is every year. So banks will lend the U.S. more because they know, hey, you guys may be in a bunch of debt now, but you're going to earn $1 trillion next year and $1 trillion the year after that. So eventually, you're still good for the money. Greece ain't that big of an economy. And they're 300 billion euro in debt. And people have now said, you can't pay that back. And you can't pay it back next year. And you ain't going to be able to pay it back the year after that either. So why the hell should we keep giving you loans that we know you can't pay back ever, perhaps? That is the rub. And the people that are most pissed are the Germans because they're the exact opposite of the Greeks. Both in the Eurozone, by the way. The Germans, of course, have the number 4 economy on planet Earth. The German Titans, all right? The Teutonic Titans. They are the biggest economy in Europe. They're the biggest economy in the European Union. They're the biggest economy in the Eurozone. They're very frugal. They're very financially conservative. They have kept their financial house in order. They are perhaps in the best shape, even during this current economic recession and crisis worldwide. So, you got all these Germans, and it's a big country too, big population, that are now being asked, hey, can you guys go help Greece? Yeah. You kept your house in order. You balanced your checkbook. You guys are doing okay. So can you go help the people who didn't? Who have been screwing up and been overspending. And the Germans are furious about this. And really, do you want the Germans furious? I mean, check out World War I or World War II. But let's get back to point. What's going to happen with all this? What was this shady solution that I referenced that the Germans came up with to help out the Greeks? Well, the Germans have said, we ain't coming to bail your asses out. Forget it, buddy. You got yourselves into this mess. You're going to have to pony up and be a big boy country and pay off your bills and get out of this mess. Now, we're going to continue to help you. We're not going to refuse you loans. The European Central Bank is not going to refuse the Greek government loans. However, the Greeks have been saying, hey, why don't you guys just forgive our debt? And everybody's like, not. How about give us some foreign aid then directly? Not. No one's going to give them money. But the Greeks are even saying now, but here's the deal. You guys are still promising to give us loans, but the loans at current value, market value, the interest rates are too high. So even though we need money, you're going to give us loans, but it's like 10% interest rate. So every year we're going to keep getting lower and lower in debt and have to borrow more. So we're screwed. We need you to give us loans at below market value, okay, for less than they're actually worth if you were just lending it to somebody on the street. And the Germans have said, nine, Fräuleins. Why would we do that? Why would we lose money? You're asking us, the German government, to tell our citizens, look, we have 100 million euro in the bank, and we're going to lend Greeks half of that at below market value because we could lend it to the USA and make more money. So in other words, the Germans are going to have to take a hit by doing this, and they're not happy about it. German Chancellor Angela Merkel has been increasingly unhappy about this whole mess and saying, we don't want to do this. Look, all the other European countries have been saying, oh, we have to help the Greeks. We must lend them money. We must give them money. We can't let them fail. We can't let them default on their loans. And that's true. And even the Germans would admit this. Because here's the deal. If they don't help the Greeks at all, and the Greeks just say, you know what? We're broke. We can't get no more money. The interest rates are too high. So we default. And default, of course, means we ain't paying you back. So we're going to default on $300 billion worth of loans, 300 billion euro worth of loans, and that's going to crash the system everywhere.